my name is George. Welcome to another episode of Senior Year. This is a review of Jonah Hill's brand new movie, Mid90s. I'm breaking this video into two sections. The first section is going to be the review, and there will not be any spoilers in the review section of this video. After the review, I'm going to be doing an analysis. That section will have spoilers. I'll play sirens in case you haven't seen the movie. And just so you guys know, this is the first time I've ever done a movie review, so bear with me. But I did take one film class during my time here at Wesleyan University where we actually learned to really watch movies and appreciate what the director is doing. This might be a mess, but I think let's do it. Mid90s is Jonah Hill's first ever movie that he directed, and it centers around the mid-90s culture of skateboarding. This is a skateboarding channel, that's why I have to tell you guys my opinion on this movie. But I also have to say that for the non-skateboarders out there, this movie is not just about skateboarding. This movie has an incredibly powerful story in it that I believe everybody can relate to. Sure, it does pay a very wholesome and beautiful respect and appreciation to skateboarding, but that's not what the movie is fully about. The movie follows a kid named Sunny who's somewhere between the age of 10 and 13. Basically get to watch this kid grow up. It's like a coming of age movie, and who doesn't love a coming of age movie? I walked into this theater expecting a relatively shallow movie. I mean, Jonah Hill is a goofball.
Let's hang out and do some heel flips later.
It's not. This kid deals with some serious throughout this movie. You really start to sympathize with him, you feel for him. He's got all these problems that many of us can relate to. Eventually he finds skateboarding. It just feels so good, and that's where these just beautiful moments of skateboarding come into the movie. You see how powerful skateboarding is in this kid's life. But the movie is not just skateboarding is the answer to these problems. The movie gets deeper and deeper. The friends he makes, they have their own problems. Skateboarding actually leads him to other serious problems. It's a very complex exploration of growing up, and I'm not gonna lie, I cried. Partly just because of those special moments in skateboarding that I could so heavily relate to, but also just because of the growing up story, and I think that everyone will be able to relate and probably cry at this film. I actually was able to see this movie early thanks to the Wesleyan Film Series, a packed theater filled with college students, and I have to say that really made it an awesome experience because people were laughing, and there are some surprisingly serious moments, and you could just feel that silence come over the audience in the theater. This movie will surprise you. It's filmed in a square ratio, which is how old skate videos were filmed. A soundtrack that really captures that mid-90s vibe. It really just feels so natural, like everybody's hanging out. I also want to shout out Jonah Hill for actually enlisting actors who can actually skateboard. In the majority of cases where skateboarding is in film or TV, it is just horribly cringeworthy.
360 flip crooked grind down a handrail? Are you kidding me?
There's one shot in particular that they play in the trailer where they're all skating down the middle of the street with just a beautiful song in the background, and I think it's just very symbolic, trying to find their own path in life, and it's just so beautiful. This movie also really captures the importance of filming in skateboarding. I think the character of 4th grade is very deep, and all the characters are very deep. They all have dreams and ambitions, and things get in the way of them and confuse them. This is an extremely beautiful movie. While it captures skateboarding in such a beautiful way, it is much deeper than that. An extremely compelling story of a kid growing up. I mean, this movie deals with a whole host of serious things that I'm really stoked that Jonah Hill addressed in this film. You will really relate to the characters in this movie. They all have extreme depth to them. I want to watch it again. I watched it twice already. I'm gonna give this movie an A. It was absolutely phenomenal. It made me feel it made me happy. It made me cry. It has life lessons. What more can you want from a movie? I highly recommend you check out this movie. Props to Jonah Hill and everyone who worked on it. It all comes together so nicely to create a 90s vibe and convey a beautiful story. If you have not seen this movie yet, you should stop now, add this video to your watch later, and come back to it when you finish watching the movie, just for the one person who's watching this and fell asleep. So I went into this movie expecting something really lighthearted, but was almost immediately taken by surprise, basically by how up of a life Stevie has. Immediately the movie opens up and Stevie's basically getting beat up by his brother. There's no father figure in the family. Stevie actually wants to be like his brother. He goes into his room early on in the movie and it's like he's in a palace or something. He's just so stoked about it. We really feel bad for this kid as we're watching, and there's also a startling trend of self-harm throughout the movie. Stevie goes up to the mirror and will punch the wounds he just got to hurt himself even more, to prove to himself that he's tough, and this is is where the toxic masculinity starts, and that's a whole separate theme in the movie. He hits his head, busts it open, it starts bleeding, but it's like a good thing to him. Like, his friends hype it up.
Yo, Stevie is sane.
That was actually a bad traumatic experience. By the way, quick shout out to Helmet Gang. Later on, after like another severe altercation with his brother, he actually like pulls a phone cord around his neck, and it's probably one of the most startling and disturbing scenes in the movie. This kid is having a really hard time growing up. So then at one point he finds skateboarding. Skateboarding for Stevie is indisputably great for him in many ways. The minute he buys a skateboard from his brother, he gets some freedom from his terrible family life. You can just feel how happy skateboarding makes him. But of course, it's not just all good. The skateboarding not only gives him freedom from his family, it also further strains his relationship with his family. Skateboarding and these friends have introduced him to drugs and alcohol. Ray is like the best role model. He wants to be a pro skater, but fuck shit is kind of lost and lost his motivation and is kind of just floating through life. I think 4th grade is a really significant character. A few times throughout the movie, 4th grade tells people he wants to make movies, but then everyone he's talking to is like, that's dumb, and like they shut him down. It's sad. I mean, there's all this that just goes wrong. Ray reveals to Stevie and the audience that his little brother actually died. Sunny and Ray are filling a role for each other. Ray is like Sunny's big brother who actually accepts him, and Sunny is like the little brother that Ray has lost. So they really fulfill each other's roles, and it's extremely beautiful and uplifting. And right after that is like one of the best scenes in the movie, where they're just skating at night in the LA courthouse. You could tell that skateboarding has brought them happiness amidst their hard times and struggles, and it's really just great. Later in the movie, the altercations between the friends in the group is like at an all-time high. They get in the car with Fuckshit, who's obviously drunk. The car crashes. It brings up the question of like, did anything get resolved in this movie? And basically the movie ends with all the friends in the hospital room with Sunny's family. It's actually a really nice moment. You see that his brother like shakes up the orange juice, gives one to Sunny, and I think that's a symbolic moment. Also, when Sunny's mom walks into the hospital, she talks with Ray, and it feels like they're connected. This is a moment where finally Sunny's two kind of lives come together, and I think in a way that is a step towards a resolution. We finally get to see the video that 4th grade puts together, all the clips that he filmed throughout the movie, and it's like a really beautiful moment while they're all together in the hospital watching this skate video. And it's like, I'm not exactly sure what I feel like the message of this movie is, but I have a vague idea. Towards the very end of the movie, Ray basically says something along the lines of this: yo Stevie, you take the hardest hits out of anyone I know. No, you don't gotta do that, right? Maybe what the movie is trying to say is that everyone experiences hardships. Basically, everyone has problems and they all are dealing with them in different ways. And I think that Ray is like the hero of this movie because he keeps his energy focused in a positive direction towards something that he loves, something as beautiful as skateboarding. I don't think there's any bad character in this movie. We sympathize with all of them because of how hard of a time they're having in life, basically. I think maybe what Jonah Hill is trying to say is that sometimes shit gets really hard, but deep inside we all have the ability to not take the hardest hits, to take an initiative and put our energy into something that can help us. And I think Jonah Hill clearly thinks that skateboarding is something that can help you in life in that way.
That's why we ride a piece of wood, what that does to somebody's spirit.
Just so real. So hopefully if you are still watching this video at this point, you have seen Mid90s. If not, I just spoiled the shit out of the movie for you. But anyways, if I spurred any thoughts in you regarding this movie, leave it in the comments down below. I'm sure we can come up with new insights through our discussion together. Thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of this very new type of video for my channel. Please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed, and you know, all that stuff. Jizz. Well, thank you guys. It's the first section, what you're watching right. This is the first time I've ever done a movie. There's one shot in particular, I can't say particular. It centers around mid-90s, makes sense.